I'm going to leave commentary behind for a little while in part 4 and get on to some equipment to complete the survival triangle while living in a rental or living in the big city. It's more of my comfort zone anyway. One of the hardest parts of the survival triangle to obtain is off-grid heat. It's the hardest thing to obtain in a rental or in the city, and I have a solution for that I want to share with you and show you here. Again, remember guys, this is how I would try to prepare while living in the city. And in the midst of one of the biggest storms that's ever hit and thousands of people out of power, I think this is ironic that the timing of this video as well. Check it out. This is the Yukon M1950 multi-fuel stove. This was developed and handed out to soldiers and Marines during the Korean conflict. I'm not sure when they stopped using it. They definitely had a different style winter stove. When I was in, it only used liquid fuel, but I picked this particular stove up as military surplus about 10 years ago, and I've used it for ice fishing and when I'm winter camping in a cabin tent. The ones I've seen at Cabela's, for an example, are $200 to $400, and I really don't think I could even make one cheaper than I bought this one for. I bought it for $100 from Coleman Surplus, and I like the configuration. Being rectangular, 8 by 10 inches and 2 feet long, it is packable. It's less than 30 pounds. But also the way they configure the stovepipe, they're all a lessening size, so they all fit into each other, and the spark arrestor is in there as well. So it all contains in itself, and everything you need to run the liquid fuel, the hoses, the valve, and the burner, I keep in a bag. This is Italian military surplus medical bag. I keep in a bag off to the side. It's waterproof because I rarely use the liquid fuel option. I am going to show you how that works today. I'm going to put this up outside so you can see the whole thing in its entirety, and then I'll take it inside to show you how I would use it inside, you know, let's say an apartment or a condo. I'm going to set this up on the liquid fuel system so you can see how it works, but it will run on more than just gas. It'll run on kerosene, it'll run on motor oil. You can even cut diesel with it. With a little bit of gasoline, it'll run on diesel. The thicker the oil is, it's better to have a drip pan under the burner, which I'll show you, but that's what I really like about this stove. Now, the stoves that we were issued in the military when I was in, these were long gone, they only ran on diesel. That's the only ones I worked with anyway, and you could not run solid fuel in them. I find this, you know, again, I'm always looking for things that give me the most options, so I find this to be a better deal. The legs fold underneath, at least the front does. So those pop up, and then the back is supported by the stovepipe itself. There's flanges on the bottom stovepipe that fit onto the back, and you just turn it until it's straight up and down. Now it has a removable bottom for easy clean out. You can see that there. And that's how it's supported. And then you just continue to put the stovepipes on. As when you're done, you'll have 10 feet of stovepipe. There are 3 lanyards that come off the spark arrestor for stability. I've never used them. I just let the tent handle that. The stove is rated at 60,000 BTUs, which is pretty good for a pack stove. I really never use the liquid fuel option for this stove. It's a lot easier just to use wood when I'm out and about. It will burn, I think, continuous for 15 hours on 5 gallons of fuel. That's if you were burning it continuous the whole time. But I'm going to set this up for you outside just so you can see it. Uh-oh. Oh, this is definitely the wrong emergency bag. Cut. Okay. There we go. That's the right bag. Now, the only thing I've added to this kit is a shaker hose. If you don't know what that is, look it up, but it makes it a lot easier for siphoning fuel in emergencies or even non-emergencies. It comes with your hose that you need for the burner. Comes with the burner head and all the valves, what you need to hook up to a jerry can. Even comes with instructions, except they're military instructions, and if you've never been in the military, they're impossible to understand because of the jargon. But anyway, it even comes with the tools you need to set the whole thing up. Now, that is one thing that I want to caution you on. It doesn't come with a jerry can. You're going to need a jerry can, but I have seen these kits for sale where they're only selling the stove. And what some of these companies do is separate the burner from the kit itself, and then try to sell these separately. There are full kits out there, and they're usually selling for just as much money. So if you do go to order one of these, make sure you're getting the liquid fuel burner as well with it. Make sure they don't sell it to you separately. I'm not going to show you how to set this whole thing up because that would be pretty boring. But like I said, there are some instructions that come with it, and it's pretty self-explanatory overall. I'm setting the burner up in the stove and the valve right now. I'm going to hook the hose up and then put the jerry can on it. Okay, I've got it all hooked up. They give you plenty of hose to go with it, and you need to elevate the jerry can at least 3 or 4 feet. I think one of the reasons why they give you a lot of hose in case you want to dangle this outside of the tent. Inevitably you're going to spill some fuel. It's not nice to have it in where you're living. That's one of the reasons why I'm showing you this outside, not only to see, you know, the whole stove hooked up and working, but also because I don't want to take the chance of dripping any of the gas inside. Also here you can see I've got it dripping at a pretty good flow, and you can control that. That takes practice to get it to where you want it to be. Now I'm using old boat gas. See if it goes. Open this up a little more. Really get it dripping. You can see how it starts. Nice, huh? Nice and easy. Even people in the military can do it. Now if it's going too fast, that's what'll happen. It'll drip onto the bottom. That means you got too much gas going in. So slow it down. Close it up, open your front, let the air flow. There we go. You hear that kick right in? And that's going to send your fumes up the stack. Pretty nifty, huh? Now if you're, I'm going to turn this up even a little more. If you were going to burn oil, you know, I'd rather cut it. If I had the choice, I'd rather cut it to increase the viscosity level, if anything. I'd rather cut it with gasoline or some kind of white gas. But you can even burn straight vegetable oil, used motor oil. If it's too cold, it's not going to flow, obviously. That's one of the other reasons why you want to cut it. But oil doesn't burn like gas, obviously. So you have to put a some kind of pan to catch the oil that's not burning from dripping down into the bottom of the stove. And you can catch that, and that will actually catch on fire as well. It won't go to waste. It'll still heat the stove. That's how it works. Sounds nice once it gets going. And you're going to get about 60,000 BTUs out of that, like I said. When burning gasoline or white gas, there's almost no fumes. Oil is going to give you some fumes, obviously. But once it gets going, there's really no soot with the wood. I'm in fact using trim oak, scrap wood that you would find if there was a, you know, a major collapse in the city. This is the kind of scrap wood that you would find tons of, unlimited amounts of. And this is how I would use it. It's extremely efficient. You know, it's hard to see, but it's boiling away. And you have your hot spot and your warm spots for cooking or boiling water. And I've set this up in my living room, inside of my fireplace. Again, depending on where you live or where you're renting, whether you own the place or whether you rent the place, this might come in pretty handy. All I did was buy a couple dollar section of 4-inch stovepipe. And I've got heat. So this is one option. A lot of apartments, condos come with fireplaces. You can use the venting that's already in place. Or even if you have a house, if you're renting a house, I don't care if it's in the city or the country, this is a great option. Now of course you could buy a small used iron stove off of Craigslist, but then again it's not packable, it's not portable. For just $50 more, you've got a packable portable stove, and I think that's important if you're renting, or if you're living in the city. I definitely want to keep those options of being able to bug out or being able to pack out, either in the back of my trunk or in the back of the truck, or actually on a backpack. Nice little fire, again made out of scraps from oak trim. Very quickly get a pot of water boiling. This is for those of you that have no options to vent, no fireplaces, no venting that you can get to. This will work especially in the city, in apartments, but even if you're renting a house that you can't make changes to like I've done, this makes a great heat stove and cook stove that you can put away in the garage or put away in a closet and then pull out if you need it. Now what I did here to mock this up for you is, again, I bought some very cheap stovepipe, and then I got a sheet of steel, cut a hole in it, put it into my window frame, so you could do this anywhere, right? You could do this in a motel room, you could do this in a trailer, but basically you can make your own venting as long as you have a window, and this would really work for apartments where you don't have any opportunities to vent in a fireplace. So I just kind of mocked this up for you to show you that you could bring this stove anywhere with you, no matter where you move to, but especially in apartment buildings in the city. This would be the ultimate prepping item to secure your heat and your ability to cook food. My goal here, guys, was to show you that this piece of equipment, a very simple, cheap piece of equipment, can give you the option of off-grid heat no matter where you are. Even if you're in an apartment in the big city, or whether you're renting a house or a townhouse or a condo, this gives you off-grid heating ability, even in the city. And you can take it wherever you go, and you can set it up in all kinds of different circumstances, whether you have venting or whether you just want to use your window. It's cheap, it's portable. Again, when you're renting, portability is important as well. Is that you would be able to stay out of the refugee camps. You know, you wouldn't have to go into those help centers or the tent cities. You could separate yourself from the mob, and you could cook without exposing yourself, and being able to keep warm in your apartment, especially as a note. You know, most of these apartments in the northern hemisphere of the United States are going to turn into meat lockers. You know, people are going to die of exposure because they just aren't going to be able to keep warm, and the other people are going to be driven into these refugee camps. You've seen them in other disasters, where they're going to have to go into this shack cities or tent cities with large outdoor fires in order to keep warm. Whereas you'll be able to bring that heat inside, the ability to cook, the ability to keep warm. You'll be able to do it, basically within your residence, which is going to be a huge advantage. I wanted to show you too, these legs do not get hot. I can keep my hand on that, and then I'm going to come over here and even touch the bottom of this. Okay, that doesn't get hot either, so you don't have to worry about the floor getting too hot. Although I do think it would be smart to collect some bricks and put them underneath just to store heat, even if you have a metal water drum to put next to it. Anything that you can store heat with while this thing is going and emanating heat, anything that can absorb the heat when the fire dies down will also give off heat slowly. If you look at the northeastern storms that they had that knocked out power to millions, and you look at the southeast ice storm that knocked out power to hundreds of thousands, and now we've got this Midwest storm that's blown through. This is incredibly cheap insurance to help you avoid that as a prepper. We don't have to look at long-term collapses. We can just look at some of these emergencies that have come up, and again, the timing is incredible that this storm went through. How many people could avoid some of the dilemmas that they're in right now with just a simple piece of equipment like this? I don't know what else to say. I hope you can see that as well. Remember, I'm going to throw this out here. If there's a long-term collapse, long-term grid down collapse, 80 to 90% die off in the first year. I don't care whether you're in the city or the country. There's going to be an 80 to 90% die off because people just aren't going to have the skills and what they need to survive. And a simple piece of equipment like this could save your life. It'll make the difference. You won't be able to, you won't have to expose yourself to the rest of the mob that's going to be basically helpless.